Graeme, very keen to find out where you stand on this. I saw Richarlison about the 85th minute. Tottenham strolling to a 2-0 win over Forest, although Forest went for it, really tried to make an impression on Tottenham yesterday, but ended up with no points. Tottenham took all three. And then Richarlison kicked up in the air after he did a couple of kick-ups, clattered as a result of him indulging in a bit of showboating. Where do you stand on that, Graeme? Is there a place for it? Is it something you want to see as a manager? Was Richarlison naughty doing it?
I hope I'm not accused of sitting on the fence again. As a manager, I never want to see it. You don't want to see it. It's not nice, but I've done it.
I've done
it as a player, yeah. I've been on the pitch, but that was only because there was, maybe something going on between me and a couple of their players or something.
What game was that? When was it?
I think it's happened more than once, Jim. But so as a manager, you don't want to see it. It's showing disrespect, But when you're young and you're full of yourself, sometimes you forget what you're instructed to do. I am guilty of that. Hands up.
I mean, is it a bit of brilliance and exuberance from Richarlison?
It's not
or is it disrespect from him?
See, I go back to 1967, England, world champions, playing Scotland at Wembley. The great Jim Baxter did that. And
keep the uppies.
So it's not a new thing. It's not a new thing. And we won. I think Scotland won that day. So that made us the unofficial world champions.
Yeah.
Simon.
Unofficial world champions, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's your take on it, Simon? You saw this yesterday with Richarlison, a bit of showboating.
I think everything
should it be a bookable offence?
I mean, you've got to get into the context of the circumstances. I get the balance between somebody doing something for effect, somebody taking the mickey out of someone else. I used to take it off on different sport. I used to hate Nazim Hamid when he went into fights, like when he went to Steve Robinson and took the mickey out of him in Cardiff, and really took the mickey out of him. And I thought, there needs to be a bit of professional courtesy with one another. You don't necessarily need to do that. I'm kind of ambivalent towards it. If he's prepared to get clattered by a defender that's not going to sit there and allow him to take the mickey out of him, then that's the consequences of it. But I'm not entirely sure. First of all, you want people to be serious on a pitch, and you don't want people to elevate to a position where they're better than they actually think they are, or they think they're better than they actually are. But I don't look at it with any great degree of engagement. I think it's kind of nothing. If you want to do some keepy uppies in front of a player, I mean, JJ Okocha used to do it at Bolton regularly, didn't he?
100% of the Spurs supporters yesterday would have liked that. 100%.
Would have loved it.
Yeah. It's like, bit of arrogance. I don't mind people.
Yeah, but Graeme, if you're in a Forest shirt, you ask from Richarlison, you would have to
but
too.
You know that, of course. You know it's coming if you go down that road. But it's if you can do it, take the consequences. But to a man, every Spurs supporter in that stadium yesterday, look at us, we're back. We've shown a bit of, not character, a bit of arrogance, which if you aspire to be a big player, you cannot be a big player without a certain amount of arrogance. Sorry.
Is Richarlison a big player?
No, not in my eyes.
No, I think that's fair.
I mean, in France, it's a bookable offence. Paqueta, he was booked for an attempted rainbow flick when he was playing for Lyon against Troyes. That was in Ligue 1 last year. Neymar was booked for unsporting behaviour during a Ligue 1 game for PSG after indulging in a bit of showboating. It is disrespectful in the eyes of the French authorities, so maybe don't do it because you will get booked. You will get booked. Should that be the same here?
No. I come... when we have conversations like this, I come back to the word that sort of jumps out: entertainment. We are in the entertainment business. Right. Yeah. And a lot of those people, especially the Spurs supporters, would have thought, great, good on you. But to a man, all the Forest supporters would have hated that. But it's football. It's young men who generally have egos that would choke horses, and that's the way it should be. They're gifted.
See, I would take issue with the word arrogant, you see, because arrogant is something that's based upon an underlying inferiority complex that you need to prove a point, whereas confidence is something very different. When you're describing somebody that's arrogant, it's somebody that's not actually got it together, really. They're pushing themselves in front of you to create an impression, where someone that's got...
Muhammad Ali not arrogant?
Who?
Muhammad Ali?
I think he was incredibly confident. I think he had deep-seated belief. Confidence is based upon belief. Arrogance is based upon ignorance. There's a difference between the two. If I believe in myself emphatically, that doesn't make me arrogant. If I'm strong, it doesn't make me aggressive. It makes me assertive.
None of your Palace players ever went down that road?
Of what, being confident?
Yes, showing arrogance. I don't mind arrogance. I think arrogance can be a good thing.
But I don't think
you've got to be able to back it up, haven't you?
You can back it up, yeah.
But I don't think arrogance is a good thing. Again, I'll give you the example. It's a way of diminishing somebody. If you say somebody's aggressive, you're taking them down. But if you say if you're strong in a character, why aren't you assertive rather than aggressive? If you're confident in yourself, why are you arrogant rather than having deep-seated belief and really confident?
If your starting point, if we're talking about football, I didn't set out to be, but I was arrogant. I didn't set out to be arrogant, but I know that being arrogant on a football pitch can make people look at you and go, and maybe diminish their confidence. I think arrogance.
It's not make you a target as well.
Of course, yeah, but I was prepared for that. I went down the road many times where, what I'm basically saying, well, I'm going down this road knowing that there's going to be 2 or 3 in the opposition will come looking for me. But that's part of the deal. If you're a professional footballer and you choose your route, which I did, and it was bring it on.
So you chose to be arrogant. You chose to be arrogant. You adopted this arrogance and you thought, I'll use it.
I never went out. I'll come back to Archie Gemmill. He was a fabulous player. He said if he was chocolate, he'd eat himself. Now, I didn't. When I was a young man,
about you?
Yes. If he's chocolate, he would eat himself. And I'll take that. I accept that at that time in my
Was it
career.
right?
100%. 100%. Now, I didn't set out to be arrogant, but I don't know, and I question myself, where did my confidence come from? The youngest of 3 sons. But I would be deemed arrogant.
But there's a difference.
I saw that as a
but you're missing my point. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is belief. Arrogance is something else.
Well, can you have both?
You can go from one extreme to the other, I suspect. But I don't look at players that are incredibly confident and say they're arrogant unless I want to diminish them. I don't look at people that are very strong and say they're aggressive unless I want to diminish them. I say they're strong and they're assertive. They're confident. They've got a deep-seated belief. When you start using terminology like arrogance and aggressive...
I'm describing myself. I'm being self-critical. I was arrogant. I accept that. As Archie Gemmill would testify.
But would you argue that you could back it up? And you've got the medals to show it?
It's tough to ask my contemporaries if I could back it up, but I believe I could.
Yeah. Is it not a bit early for Richarlison to be going, in career terms, to be going down this road?
Well, he's joined a great football club in Spurs, a club that's on the up. The Richarlison we saw at Everton, there was nothing about him that you'd be describing as he's a potential to be a great player. I mean, he's a worker who, in his time at Everton, would throw himself to the ground too often for my liking. And I would imagine Conte will sort that out on him, and I think he can only become better under Conte and at Spurs. But listen, he may have been involved in a spat with one of the Forest players, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
have some of this. Look at this.
Yeah,
but he was prepared to take the consequences.
Would you say the top players of their time, Georgie Best, for the moment in time when he was on top of his game, Diego Maradona, Pele, Johan Cruyff, were they arrogant on the pitch?
Yes.
They were arrogant.
Yeah.
They were arrogant, and they would do the similar things.
They had that in them. I think all the great players had arrogance. That's.
You and I were looking at that picture this morning. Souness of Sampdoria playing against Maradona of Napoli. Was he arrogant that day? Did he try it on?
I think he was. What can you say about him? Yeah, he was arrogant. Yeah, I mean, he would flick the ball over your head and make you look absolutely stupid, and he enjoyed that feeling.
On that day?
He didn't particularly do it to me, but I've witnessed that. I mean, I think that's the closest I ever got to it.
Listen, what about you though? Would you not admit that you had a streak of arrogance about you when you were a 31-year-old owner?
But you're missing the
worth
point.
100
you're
million
not listening.
quid?
You're hearing the words, but you're not listening. I don't believe that arrogance is something you'd want to call yourself. I would take that as a diminishing observation. I would say I'm not arrogant. I have an unadulterated belief. If you're so weak that you can't cope with that doesn't make me arrogant. Don't try and diminish me, because arrogance is not a compliment. Arrogance isn't a trait you should want. Arrogance is something that's based upon ignorance, in my view.
So what were you if you weren't arrogant? What were you if you weren't arrogant? What were you?
Incredibly confident.
Anyone accused you of being arrogant?
It's stupid people that can't understand the difference between arrogance and confidence.
Well, I think you've got to have both. I think if you're confident, you can be arrogant.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe. You ask him a question.
You don't think you'd a streak of arrogance at all in you?
Phone in and
I think there were times in my life when I was a stupid young man that was young, dumb, and full of whatever.
He won't use the word to describe himself, will he ever?
No.
Simple question. Were you ever arrogant in your life?
But do I know better? Am I 107 years of age like you now and still describing myself as arrogant?
No, but Graeme's pushed you to say, were you ever arrogant? You're now saying yes. Moments ago you were.
At a very youthful stage in my life, but I've evolved from that, and now I look at arrogance as a terminology that I would not want to be described as.
No, because
you
find it offensive. You find it insulting.
I find it diminishing. Like when
people have turned. I think we're listening to another.
No, but listen.
You heard them all years ago.
But they
Jordan,
do it.
What a confident
But they do it in this country. Rather than say he's a strong character, they'll say it's aggressive, because aggressive puts you as somebody that barks and bites, right? Take the middle word out, right? But the bottom line is you don't have to be aggressive, you can be assertive. So what people do is they find a language to diminish you, take it away from you, and put you in a category. So I push back on that.
What a guy.
So to wrap all of this up then, what was Richarlison
Insight
yesterday?
into the mind.
What was Richarlison yesterday then, Graeme? Arrogant, confident, or what? Mixture of both?
Both.
Right, there you go. There you go. Okay, showboating. We'll have it to a certain degree. Arrogant, confident. Look at him. It's 11:15.